So here's the thing. When we first reviewed the new Vitara last year, we came away strangely disappointed by it. Much of the blame for that lay with the rather uninspiring engines, so now Suzuki have fitted their new 1.4 litre Boosterjet, we wanted to take another crack at it. Cars with the new turbocharged engine are badged the Vitara S, and as well as the extra letter on the badge, there's a new look to go with it. That means there's a new black grille and restyled headlights, some extra black trim on the front bumper, and some gloss black alloy wheels. You also get some black cladding along the doors, and a splash of silver for the door mirrors. From the rear, things are largely as they were before, although there is now a larger roof spoiler. Inside, there's some silver trim on the dash, while the seats make use of a part leather suede effect upholstery. Other than some red stitching here and there, everything else is largely unchanged, and unfortunately that means our previous observations about the driving position still apply. For example, the steering wheel appears to be angled away from the driver a touch too sharply, and this can be tiring on the wrists, while the pedals are mounted quite close to the driver in relation to everything else, and that creates a strange short-legged, long-armed driving position that isn't comfortable for everyone. That said, we still appreciate the simplicity of the interior, something Suzuki always do well, from the clear and easy to read instruments to the touchscreen media navigation system which, although it's a little clunky and slow to respond at times, does offer most functions people could need. Rear seat passengers should have little to complain about, and headroom's not bad because there's no option of a sunroof on the S model. Boot space is less than you'll find in the Suzuki S-Cross, on which the Vitara is based, with 375 litres on offer, including a dual-level floor, and that rises to 710 litres with the seats folded, although this does leave behind a sloping load area. Of course, the big change for the Vitara S is the arrival of Suzuki's new 1.4 litre turbocharged petrol engine, dubbed Boosterjet. It produces around 140 horsepower and 220 Nm of torque, and the company claims a rather modest 0-62 time of 10.2 seconds, plus emissions of 127 grams per kilometre and economy up to 52.3 mpg. So is it any good? Well, it's certainly a lot more fun to drive than the 1.6 litre engines. Its power delivery is a bit like a diesel in fact. There's quite a bit of lag until you've built some boost up, then there's a great gob of torque, and no small amount of torque steer by the way, before the boost begins to drop off and the party's all over. It can make for fairly rapid progress, particularly through the gears, and although the 6-speed manual shift action isn't as clean as some of Suzuki's other gearboxes, it does have a well-chosen set of ratios. What we did notice though was some lumpiness in the throttle response. Pulling away smoothly requires some concentration because even the tiniest throttle input results in a leap in engine revs. But on top of that, trying to maintain a steady speed with a light throttle leads to a subtle surging sensation. Hopefully this is something Suzuki will be able to dial out, as I imagine some people will find it wearing. Also a touch on the lumpy side is the steering, something we mentioned in our previous Vitara review. If you've ever driven a car with incorrect tracking settings, you might have experienced a strange wandering sensation and a car that needs constant steering inputs to keep it heading where it should be. Well, the Vitara's a bit like that. And to continue what we said in our earlier review, the suspension still suffers from a touch too much roll, quite pronounced pitch and dive, particularly under acceleration, now there's more power on offer, and it's still easily upset by mid-corner bumps. We also complained about the paranoid collision warning system, and I'm afraid that's just as annoying in the Vitara S, because we found it was easily triggered by cars pulling into side turnings, such as this Golf here, or even just driving past a parked car. So at the end of all of this, we have to ask, is the Vitara S more fun to drive than the regular model? Yes, it is. It's genuinely nippy, and you can certainly have a bit of a laugh with it through town. It's also a respectable performer on the motorway, the ride soaking up seams in the tarmac well, and the engine settling down to a distant hum. In fact, once the engine's warmed up, at idle it's almost inaudible. And despite our misgivings about the suspension and steering, the Vitara still manages to deliver that light on its feet feeling that Suzuki always does so well. It's just that because the Vitara S wears a price tag of just under 21 grand, it's difficult not to compare it with something like a Mazda CX-3. And in that company, Suzuki needs to get a handle on the Vitara's damping, throttle response and steering, because if they can do that, they'll have themselves an engaging little car.